Lindsey Crosby, where should we start with all the action that happened this weekend?
Wild series. I think before anything, we need to talk about the game one loss, because a lot of people, and I've seen this both. Yes, I've seen this in our Discord. I've seen this on Twitter. I had somebody hop into our Twitter space on Saturday night to ask about this because that's something we decided to do kind of spontaneously. Is we did a Twitter space Friday night, Saturday night. It
was fun.
It was tons of fun. Started at the 7th inning. It was a great time. So Auburn, game one, has a lead going into the 9th. Blake Burkhalter pitched the 8th, did well. In the 9th, we have a defensive error on a double play ball. We intentionally walk a guy to get the force on, and then a pass ball scores a run. Another walks it off for Mississippi State. And a lot of people are bothered. A lot of people are upset. It's like, oh, Auburn choked. Auburn collapsed. I'm of the opinion, and so is Butch Thompson from his post-game comments, if you replay that game, 9 out of 10 times Auburn wins that game. Auburn followed the strategy that we have seen work in so many games.
People aren't arguing that, though. That doesn't, to me, that makes it more of a choke, more of a total collapse, right?
So it all comes back to the double play ball to Cole Foster, and he fields the ball, drops it on the transfer. We don't get either out.
You could tell, though, as soon as he got it, he's like, I have a double play. We're about to win this. You could see it.
Yes.
And then just the feeling leaves his eyes. And it's like, oh.
He had hit a home run, I think, in the 7th. Gosh, he was feeling it. The loudest hitter on the planet was feeling it. He was in a groove. That's not a typical error for Auburn. This is something where, and the point of contention I have with this is people are saying, oh, this is the same old Auburn. This is just Auburn being Auburn. We're not a good team. We're a good team.
Yeah.
We had a bad inning. And everything went according to plan. We asked Butch about this after the game, and he said, I can't think of anything I'd do differently. I mean, if I had to do it all over again, there's not a lot I'd like to change. Like we've played this game over and over and have found a way, just not tonight. And so that happens. Auburn comes back. Game 2 is not great. Auburn has a chance late to tie it up, score some runs. The rally kind of falls short, and they end up losing. And the frustrating thing about this, and this is kind of emblematic of the whole series, is, and this is, again, straight from Butch Thompson, that's one of Trace Bright's better starts of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the better outings that he's had this year. He gives up 2 runs early, pretty much shuts him down from that point on. And it kind of comes back to what we've talked about before about game 1, when you use Carson Skipper and Blake Burkhalter for 3 or 4 innings, you don't have a reliever out of the bullpen that you trust in game 2. We've seen this now a couple times. And part of me wonders, now that we've seen Joseph Gonzalez, like he did, he went 8 innings in game 3. This week, he went 9 innings in game 3 last week.
He's on it, man.
He's on it. He's clearly our best pitcher right now. And so I'm beginning to wonder, because you have this glaring strategic issue of no reliever you trust in game 2, because you use both of them in game 1, do you move Joseph Gonzalez to game 2 so that you can avoid needing to use the bullpen for as long, knowing that you can bring a Skipper and a Burkhalter back in game 3 to close it out, like Auburn did for game 3 after Joseph Gonzalez went 8 against Mississippi State?
I mean, it makes sense. How big of an adjustment is that from weekend to weekend? Well, because South Carolina's this weekend, right?
South Carolina's this weekend. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think the good thing here is you couldn't make that switch this week because you had a short week. You had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which, hot take, I like a Thursday through Saturday better than a Friday through Sunday. That's just me. I know Friday nights in the SEC are a thing. I just like a Thursday through Saturday. But anyway, I think that now having an extra day on the front end, you can make this change. And to me, it takes a little bit of pressure off Joseph Gonzalez, because he's gone in the last couple game 3s from either I have to win this for us to win the series, or like this last weekend, I have to win this so we don't get swept. And so now you take a guy who is pitching out of his mind right now, and you put him in that even lower pressure situation of game 2, And you got to feel pretty good about Auburn's ability. Now, whether the coaching staff does that or not, I don't know. I plan to ask that from Butch. We have 2 midweeks this week. We'll get 2 bits of media availability with them. I plan to ask him about, is that something they've discussed or something they want to do? Can't promise I'll get an answer out of him. He's, he has been surprisingly candid at times, especially after the series. But that's definitely not something that I expect him to give us on the record right up front on Tuesday or Wednesday.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Butch is probably my favorite coach that I've ever gotten to cover. Like I have nothing but tremendous amounts of respect for Butch Thompson. Mm-hmm. And yes, I said that, and I've gotten to cover Bruce Pearl, but I love Butch Thompson's approach to his sport. Straight shooter, but also like super diplomatic about things. But he was asked by Brad Law in the Auburn Sports postgame show after game 3 about, Brad kind of angled it from the, adversity angle of like, you're on the road, ton of rain delays throughout the series. It's got to feel good to, steal one at the end kind of thing. And Butch just calls out Mississippi State for how they handled all of it. And they were manipulative with what all they did. And it's really kind of let them have it.
Yeah. And the 2 big things that he directly cited in that conversation was, one, the lightning delay. They pulled the tarp back on the field. I think it was the 8th inning of game 2. With the storm, I think the storm was about 50 miles away. And so they said, well, there's lightning in the area.
Butch said 75.
I'm sorry, 75. Yeah. There was, they were concerned it was close enough where they needed to stop everything, hard stop at the game. I mean, and they got that tarp out within minutes.
They were ready for it.
They were ready for it. And it's something where any momentum you may have possibly had was gone. And then pitching wise, now Auburn probably has to get a new reliever up, because it's hard for a bullpen guy to sit for over an hour and then come back out and pitch again. And so he was unhappy about that. And then game 3, the reason you see so many game 3s at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock is because the team checks out of the hotel that morning and they leave and go home after the game. And he talked about, we checked out of the hotel that morning and we were sitting around waiting to find out when we were going to play. And we're scattered all around because we don't have a hotel anymore. We don't have a conference room we can go to in a hotel. We're scattered all around between buses and other places because the game was supposed to be at 1. I believe first pitch ended up being 5 or 5:30.
Yeah.
And so, and the thing for Butch, like you alluded to, he's from Aberdeen, Mississippi. He's a local boy. He coached at Mississippi State, and he said, I'm very appreciative of my time here, because if it was not for my time here, I would not be at Auburn.
Right.
But you could tell he was very disappointed with the gamesmanship that went into how the delays were set up and when start times were and when games were paused for weather, because he felt like it wasn't just let's have your guys play our guys. It's let's try to manipulate this to give our guys the best advantage we can. And that's just not the way Butch does things.
No, Butch wants to line up and beat you. He doesn't need any of that other stuff. And he'll take it when he gets beat, and he'll win with class when he beats you. And that's just who he is. And so I'm glad he's our coach, and I'm glad that he took that shot, because if he's saying that, it's probably closer to true than not. So, like you said, two midweeks, and then take on South Carolina this weekend. And Lindsay will have all that coverage throughout the week at auburndaily.com. Lindsay, what else do we need to mention before we wrap up today?
Last thing is, with this series loss going 1-2, Auburn is still tied for second in the SEC West. Alabama and Tennessee finished up their series on Sunday. Tennessee won. And so Auburn is still tied for second with Texas A&M and Alabama. They hold the tiebreaker over Texas A&M since they won that series, and they will host Alabama at home. So Auburn still has a track to get one of those top 4 seeds in the SEC tournament and avoid the single elimination game.
That'd be huge. That would be huge. And so they can get that going this weekend, which is then it's Tennessee, right?
It's South Carolina. Then I believe it is. Yes, it is Tennessee. I am traveling out of town for that series. So I'm a little disappointed I'm not going to get to cover it. I'm not going to be able to watch it. I'll be out in Texas.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a little glad I don't have to watch it.
Depends. It's going to be one way or the other for sure.
Exactly.